Hi there everybody, my name is Devansh. I'm the lead tutor at Finntutors. Just a little bit before I begin with this one-of-a-kind interactive guide which we have created. So Finntutors is a CIMA registered tuition provider and we hold the Global Pass Rate Excellence Award for 4 years in a row, which is provided to tuition providers who consistently deliver pass rates above the CIMA average globally. We have students from all over the world following this course, and I am sure that this interactive guide is going to take your preparation to the next level because it's a complete run through from start to end, what this exam is, what the details are, what the intricacies of the exam are, and essentially everything is going to help you pass this operational case study exam in August 2026. So this is an interactive guide which is a complete free walkthrough of CIMA's operational case study and all the parts of the operational case study, starting with what the exam is, the structure, the blueprints, the pre-scene, how much to write, how to approach mock questions, what are the key areas to keep looking at. Everything we have covered within this interactive guide for you. And not only that, we have realistic SoPa scenarios, our own mock questions with full model answers available as part of this interactive guide. So we have 6 to 7 realistic questions with full model answers available to give you an entire approach from start to end. So read this like a book at your own pace, follow me through my explanations, and just by hitting the right toggle button, just by moving to the next section, one by one, all the aspects of this exam are introduced for you. So the case study exam at the first level of the CIMA professional qualification is your operational case study exam. This is an exam which is different from any other OTQ exams or any other theory based exams which you have taken till now. This exam is all about your ability to apply knowledge in a realistic business scenario. You play the role of a finance officer inside a fictional company, and whatever problems your company faces, you are supposed to advise and you are supposed to help with that. So your answers need to be professional and practical. A different skill set is going to be needed for this exam prep. So the OCS is not just about theoretical knowledge. It's about applying that knowledge in a very realistic business scenario, in a very realistic business context. So generic textbook answers, if you just revise everything in E1, P1 and F1, that's not going to be enough. How to apply it, how to answer in a business case scenario, that's what this exam tests. Now this exam is going to be a computer based exam. You can take it at home or you can take it at a Pearson VUE test center near you, whatever works best for you. And there are 4 sittings in a year: February, May, August and November. May and August use the same pre-scene company. November and February use the same pre-scene fictional company. So you are seeing the first part of this interactive guide is explaining the exam for you, because we have a lot of students that will be taking this will be their first CIMA exam, first case study exam. So these are some important intricacies to understand before directly diving into blueprints and pre-scene and mock questions, right? So yes, the fictional company that CIMA releases remains the same for May and August, that's called the pre-scene, and November and Feb share the same pre-scene. The current syllabus is the 2019 syllabus with a few updates announced, and it has already been incorporated into our materials which happened in May 2026. So in May 2026, there were additions to the syllabus and there were a few blueprint changes, all of which is going to be incorporated into this interactive guide and is already part of our material, so you don't have to worry. Now, whether, we again have a lot of students from all over the world, different routes. Some students are on the traditional route, which means they've taken the individual E1, P1 and F1 OTQ exams and now reached the case study. Some students are on the exemptions route, which means because of any past qualifications that you have done, you got exemptions and you are directly starting at the operational case study exam. Some students and majority now are on the FLP route. So this route is where you need to complete your E1, P1 and F1 competencies. You're not sitting the actual exams. But on the CIMA FLP portal, you are supposed to complete the competencies, which tells CIMA that you have the relevant E1, P1 and F1 knowledge needed for this exam. Whichever route you are coming from, the exam remains the same. The basis of the exam remain the same. The structure of the exam remains the same. So the prep remains the same. Whichever route you are coming from, we will be looking at a very specific study pathway, which is number 1 revision, number 2 pre-scene and number 3 writing practice. I'll cover all 3 one by one for you. This is just the intro to the exam which we are going through. So okay, the exam is going to be a total of 3 hours and they are going to give you 4 questions. So total of 3 hours, 4 questions, 45 minutes per question you will get. And then each question will have multiple subtasks under it. So let's say question number 1 comes on your screen, 45 minutes starts ticking down. And then, that question number 1 will have 2, 3 or maximum 4 tasks. So it's called 4 questions. In each question, there are separate requirements. These requirements are called tasks. There will be minimum 2, maximum 4. All of these tasks you need to answer within 45 minutes and then question number 1 is automatically submitted. Then you go on to question number 2, again 45 minutes, again it can have a minimum of 2, maximum of 4 tasks. Again 45 minutes, submitted. Question 3, you cannot go back and forth in this exam. Use the 45 minutes, answer the tasks, move to the next question. That's how your 3 hours and 4 questions are completed. So you see, you will have to play the role of a finance officer in a particular situation, quickly developing solutions, quickly developing guidelines, quickly developing pathways to help your company, to help your manager who has raised a problem for you. So essentially, if you don't know what this exam is, if you haven't done your revision, if you don't know the pre-scene, if you don't know what to start on, what to look at, then 45 minutes will quickly vanish. So this is the structure of the exam. So now I'm just putting on your screen quickly, just to showcase you better and help you understand better what the pre-scene looks like and what the exam layout actually looks like. So I'm sharing freely available material on the CGMA Study Hub. This is the November 2025 and Feb 2026 pre-scene on your screen. So you'll see me repeat the words pre-scene, pre-scene, pre-scene. What is the pre-scene? The pre-scene is a fictional company that CIMA releases. We know that the case study, the pre-scene rather, is used over 2 windows. So November and February used this fictional company as the background where you work as a finance officer, and all the questions in the exam are going to be based around problems which this company faces. So you will have to use your technical E1, P1, F1 knowledge, apply it to your pre-seen company, whichever company is given to you, and then present your answer, because that is the skill required in a case study exam. So just to show you, this is like a 20-30 page document that CIMA releases, telling you what your role is, what the company does, what the history of the company is, what the industry of the company is, who the managers of the company are, give you a little bit of the finances of the company. So all of these details are provided within the pre-seen by CIMA, and this document becomes a very important document for us to go through, for us to study, because without this you will not be able to play the role of a finance officer. So this is what the pre-seen is. What the exam layout is, that's on your screen now. So you'll see this is how the exam looks. 3 hours, it's your name, you go to the next button, you will see the next screen, which clearly tells you that 4 questions, 45 minutes each. What are the number of tasks per question has also been given to you over here. What these percentages mean, I will cover later on when we go to the mock question writing section, because that's where it will be relevant. But essentially over here, we are just trying to understand the layout of the exam. So 45 minutes per question, every question will have multiple tasks. Over here, for example, the first question has 3 tasks, second has 3, third has 2, and fourth has 3. This is what the actual question looks like. A very scenario style question. You'll see on the top right hand side corner, the timer is ticking. So within 45 minutes, all 3 tasks of this question have to be answered, have to be completed. So essentially, this was my layout understood. Remember, we are only first understanding what this exam is, what the structure of this exam is. So we understood that we play the role of a finance officer, a fictional company is given to us, the exam is total of 3 hours, 4 questions, every question will have multiple requirements, and we showed you what exactly the exam question looks like. So for those who are starting or taking this exam for the first time, this becomes a great resource for you. Just this interactive guide becomes a great resource for you from start to end. Everything about this exam we have covered here. So now to some technicalities. The technicalities revolve around 3 pillars always. So to make things easy, even when we post on Reddit groups, Facebook groups, on our WhatsApp groups, we always try to fit the exam into 3 pillars. The pillars weightage varies differently whether you're taking the OCS, MCS or SCS. But because we are talking about the OCS here, this exam is heavily reliant on revision plus pre-seen plus mock question writing practice. These are my 3 pillars of the exam. If you focus on these 3 pillars one by one, systematically, there is no chance that you cannot do well on this exam. So over here, in this particular section, we are dealing with revision. Now a lot of students, and I do believe a lot of students randomly start studying from textbooks, which means students will directly start studying from, let's say, P1 textbook, page number 1, I'm studying everything. I'm going through everything. You may go through everything, but are we focusing on the exact requirement of the exam? Are we going to be able to remember everything? Absolutely not. So the best way to do, and what we follow within our courses is as well, is 6 core activities which CIMA has released. We map out those 6 core activities. The topics related to those 6 core activities so that you are studying only and only the important areas, important sections which are often asked in the exam. So you will tell me 6 activities, what is this? So now CIMA says that to be a good finance professional, officer, you need to be able to do 6 jobs or 6 roles. To be a good finance officer, to be able to help your company, your pre-seen company, you need to be able to do 6 jobs or 6 roles you need to be able to accomplish. What are these 6 roles? These 6 roles are my blueprint areas which CIMA have released. The first blueprint area is costing information for differing business needs. Budget information for planning and control, second. Third, financial and non-financial performance analysis. Fourth, financial reporting, governance, ethics, and tax. Fifth, short-term decision making, and 6, working capital management, which means to be a good finance officer, CIMA wants you to ensure that these 6 core areas you can help with. For example, if somebody asks you on working capital management, you are able to help. Somebody asks you IFRS, you are able to help. Somebody asks you KPIs, budget, costing, you are able to help. Now, if you think of it logically, each of these core areas directly relates to your E1, P1 and F1 syllabus areas. So these core areas are telling you that those particular sections which cover costing, budgeting, IFRS, working capital, short-term decision making from E1, P1 and F1 have to be revised. Because if you don't revise, how will you help them with costing information? How will you help them with IFRS? How will you help them with KPIs, environmental costing, weighted benefits scoring, working capital management? How will you help them? So your revision becomes a very important starting point in the OCS, but studying the topics which fall under these core areas, fall under these core activities. Now these core activities are the upper umbrella, I would say. But these are very vague, right? Costing information, budget information is so broad. So what CIMA does is, each core activity is broken down into a set of I can statements. So to help you specifically understand which areas to revise, which areas are related to each core area, they have created separate I can statements. So each I can statement, my suggestion is you should be able to pick up and you should be able to exactly answer that I can statement, and that would mean that your revision is on point. For example, let's pick the first core area. In the first core area, there are 6 I can statements. Let's pick the second I can statement. It says I can discuss different costing methods used to produce information. Different costing methods. Straight away you should go to your P1 syllabus, chapter number 2, and start revising different costing methods. Absorption costing, marginal costing, activity based costing. You should be able to discuss the benefits, how each costing system works in your own words. So these core areas and the I can statements under each of the core areas is directly telling you that go to your syllabus area and study this topic, study this topic, study this topic. If you study that topic in your own words, this exam is not about theories, definitions, sums, mugging up things, absolutely not. It says I can discuss different costing methods. So you ask yourself, can I discuss what activity based costing means? In my own words, 5 lines, 6 lines, simple, easy visualization. What are the advantages, disadvantages? Can I do that? Yes. Okay, I can do it. If I can't do it, I go back and revise that topic. Do not try to learn everything. Do not try to mug up everything, but understand the I can statement and make sure you can answer for the I can statement. If you can answer for the I can statement, which means you are meeting the requirement of this exam from the revision perspective. So if you study it this way, I can guarantee you are limiting your knowledge to the important areas, to the important sections, and essentially meeting the requirement of this exam, because this exam is what we are studying for and we want to pass it in the first attempt. So each I can statement is like a mini revision goal for you. Study the I can statements first, study the topics related to the I can statement first. It will 100% guide you in the right direction. So students just randomly start studying, textbooks, first page, first chapter, second chapter, third chapter. No, I should study in correlation to the blueprints, to the I can statements, and our entire course focuses only and only on this. Our entire course is, our entire notes rather are mapped to the I can statements, to the core areas, clearly telling you which topic falls under which I can statement, how you need to revise it, so your life becomes incredibly easy in terms of revision. So I'm just again putting on your screen what my course looks like in terms of revision. We have a master blueprint map that very clearly picks each core area, each I can statement, tells you which topic is related to that particular I can statement. As you can see on your screen, in a very simple way, each I can statement, each topic picked up and related to that I can statement. So your study is incredibly directed. And then we have study notes. If you look at these study notes, these are also mapped to the I can statement, and they only include topics which are related to the I can statements. So when you are looking at these study notes, you will very clearly see that each is very tabular based. It's very simple, very straightforward for you to follow, and exactly like you are supposed to know a topic from a case study perspective, it's presented for you. No extra definitions, no extra sums, simple, easy language. Within 4 or 5 pages, we'll help you revise the entire chapter, but with examples, but with easy relations, so you can remember the stuff. And that's the crux of this exam. We already learned that this exam is not about remembering everything word to word, mugged up. Absolutely not. This exam is you in a practical situation helping your business. So when you are revising, you need to revise in that way so that you can remember the stuff. If you try to mug up everything, what are you going to remember on exam day? It's impossible to have remembered everything. That is why on our study courses, any study course that you choose with us is mapped directly to the I can statements, and we help you revise those important topics. So you see, through this interactive guide, before you started, you knew nothing about the exam. You know the structure of the exam, what the exam looks like, you know the blueprints, what the blueprints are, you know what the I can statements are. They're pretty much telling you that go to your syllabus area and revise this particular concept, because they will ask you a question around it, and it is often tested in the exam. Especially if you look at the weightages as well, core area B, C and E are highest weighted. After that comes A and F, and then comes D. So essentially every exam will test you on a different core areas. There are 4 questions, right? In each question as well, you will be tested on multiple avenues. So the knowledge of all 6 core areas is needed for this exam. You cannot prioritize one over the other. All 6 core areas are important. They've given you that hint, but we can first start with B, C and E because it has the highest weightage and the most probability of coming up. So this is your blueprint areas explained. Next, we'll again go back a little bit to the pre-scene. Now we already know what the pre-scene is, what the pre-scene looks like. We've already given that for you. So around 7 weeks before the exam, which we already know, we receive a 20-30 page document, which is a fictional company. We took the example of Sumtrix. I showed that to you. Sumtrix was used over November and Feb. For May and August, we have been given SoPa. So the SoPa pre-scene is what you should be very focused on. Now completely zeroing on and targeting on SoPa, because that's what this interactive guide has been created for. So essentially, when you are reading the pre-scene, what do I want to look at? What do I want to keep in mind? On this interactive guide, you're going to find everything. I already told you, start to end. So first, let's look at the PDF, the actual SoPa pre-scene on your screen, which has been released by CIMA. It's freely available, but I've just put it up over here so that you have everything in one place. So, okay, if you look at the pre-scene, they'll tell you what your role is. They'll give you the company's background. They will give you the restaurant, what the restaurant industry is like. They will give you essentially, a little bit more about the company. So where the company comes from, how it started, what its locations are. They'll tell you what the company sells. So in this case, it's a restaurant company. So we are selling different starters, mains, desserts. These are my products. It's not a traditional manufacturing company, right? So these are my products. Then they've given us management teams. So they've told us who the directors are, what the structure of the company is like, who is reporting to whom. Then they've told us what each director's core competence is, what each director is good at, what each director essentially does in their day-to-day role has been provided over here. Then they provided details about the company's operations, how we develop our products, which means our dishes, how we run our restaurants, how the kitchen works, how the front of house works, who are our ingredients and our suppliers, what is our sustainability, what are our employees like, how many people do we employ, how do we run the workforce, what are the recent reviews saying, because this is like reviews for my product. So what are the recent reviews saying? And then comes interesting financial analysis where they give us profit or loss, where they give us statement of financial position, where they'll then give us the statement of cash flows, and then they'll give us budgetary information, ending with a news analysis section. So if you just simply look at this, this is a whole bunch of 35-page information which has been provided by CIMA to us. So the first step was starting on revision using the I can statements, right? While you have done the I can statements, or while you have understood the importance of revision, side by side it becomes very important to understand my company, which is to have an in-depth pre-scene analysis explanation. So through this interactive guide, I am going to run you through a very systematic synopsis breakdown of our company. I have created a very systematic overview for you, which has been put up over here, which I will run you through. But I first want to make a very quick summary, evaluation, analysis of our company. And once that is done, we will then move to a pre-scene overview. So first I will help you understand SoPa. I will help you understand the important parts of SoPa, and then I'll move you to a pre-scene overview. So on this page, we understood that the company given to us for May and August is called SoPa, what the actual CIMA pre-scene looks like, and now we are doing the synopsis summary for SoPa. So on this screen, when you click my pre-scene overview, it's my pre-scene overview which I have created for you, and that's what we are going to go through now. Just wait while I put it on my screen. So very clearly what we are trying to achieve over here is help you understand all parts of this exam. So there is no ambiguity. First we explained the exam for you, then we explained how revision should work, then we explained what the pre-scene is and what the pre-scene is for August, which is SoPa. We showed you the actual document. Now I'm going to help you understand SoPa. When you study with us on our study course, we have a foolproof 3-hour pre-scene analysis where we pick up the actual pre-scene that CIMA has released. Word by word, we'll go through the pre-scene that CIMA has released and then relate to important E, P, and F concepts. What does this do? This helps you understand the company for sure, but it also helps me narrow down on important topics which I should focus on in my revision. See, I'm already focusing on important areas because of the I can statements. But when we go through the pre-scene, because of our experience, expertise, what we have been able to do is understand what they keep asking, what topics are relevant, which you might miss. So we relate to E1, P1 and F1, helping you further narrow down and focus on very important topics which you definitely have to revise. So that's part of our full course or our on-demand course. The full pre-scene analysis is 3 hours long, runs you through all the details. This is the overview which we are going through right now, which will still help you understand the company and will still make relevant E, P and F relations for you. So this is a comprehensive overview of SoPa's operations. We already know what our role is. So we work within the finance department of SoPa, reporting to Raj Patel, the finance director. So your boss is Raj Patel. Your role sits at the heart of the business's decision making process where you need to support the decision making. In the operational level, you are lower level finance officer. You need to support with budgeting, forecasting, costing, variance, performance reporting, chart reading, all of that stuff. Now, if you look at it, these core responsibilities are very clearly linked to the core areas, to your syllabus areas of E1, P1 and F1. So this again is pointing out that to help our boss Raj, we will need to understand our company, yes, most definitely, but we will also need solid technical knowledge, because if he asks me a question and I am not able to help him out, then definitely it's going to be, impossible for me to score my marks. So, okay, company's background. So the company was founded in 2016 by Paulo and Sofia Perez, a husband and wife team originally from Latin America based in Zealand, Europe. So they were originally, Paulo and Sofia originally came from Latin America. The company is based in Zealand. So from Latin America, they moved to Zealand, which is in Europe, and that's where they set up their company. So SoPa is derived from from Sofia and Pa from Paulo, making the brand deeply personal and tied to the founder's story and culture. Again, they have Latin American background. So their restaurant has Latin American street food presented in a refined restaurant style. High quality food and drinks in a modern, relaxed setting at affordable prices. So now very clearly over here, it's high quality. So it's not compromise on quality. Your costs of quality, which is important from your P1 syllabus, coming into the picture over here. So you're seeing how when I find something important, I will link it back to your E, P and F syllabus areas. And if I'm doing that for this overview, you can imagine how comprehensively we do it if it's a 3-hour pre-scene analysis. That's a foolproof pre-scene analysis. This will still help you, still guide you, still direct you, but we are doing a quick overview as part of this interactive guide for you. So remember, the culture of your company is always high quality food and drinks in a relaxed modern setting, but prices are not extremely high. This also relates to your pricing strategies. You need to be clear about the pricing strategy which your company follows. Now, in 2026, we have 9 restaurants. 6 are in Tombor, which is a city, capital city of Zealand. 3 in other major cities in Zealand itself. Our revenues of 41 million and over 300 employees. That's the scale of the business. It's not a small company. It's doing 41 million in revenue. 300 people. 9 restaurants in total. It's a large company. But you can see it has humble roots. Founded by 2 people, slowly grew, and now it's become large. So a lot of operational, challenges is what the business will now start to face as it continues to grow. So working capital challenges, your managing cash challenges, receivables, payables, all of this managing will become important for the business because the business is growing. So Paulo, let's talk a little bit about the founders. So a trained chef, Paulo, with roots in Latin America, who later honed his skills in well-known restaurants across Zealand. Paulo brings kitchen mastery, menu expertise and culinary vision to SoPa. Sophia brings extensive front of house operations and restaurant management expertise. So you see, Paulo has already restaurant background. Sophia already has front of house operation management or restaurant management background. So together, both of these founders have come together and started a company in Zealand, which is now, revenue at 41 million, 300 employees. It's growing. So SoPa remains fully founder led. Paulo and Sophia are still at the center of the business. They play a major role in the company's identity, culture, strategic direction, which we know is high quality and affordable prices. The first restaurant opened in Tombor, the capital of Zealand, in 2016 and has still, from then on grown. In 10 years, we have reached 9 restaurants. You're seeing how we are doing the analysis, how we are giving you an overview of the company in a quick way. That's the value. When you, understand your company, you start to understand gaps, the strengths of the company, the major direction of the company, the problems of the company. That's why the pre-scene is very important, because if you don't know your company, if your boss Raj asks you a question and you don't know your company itself, how will you help him? So revision is important, yes, but knowing your company becomes equally important. That's the crux of the OCS exam. Now the restaurant industry in Zealand is what we are considering next. The restaurant industry in Zealand is highly competitive. So the restaurant industry, particularly in Tombor, is intensely competitive. Now think of any major developed European city. For example, Barcelona, Lisbon. Let's take any, just for example. You will know that the restaurant scene in these particular cities is going to be very competitive because there are so many options. So restaurants must maintain strong food quality, customer service standards, and customer experience to survive and grow. So for SoPa as well, it will be very important that we stick to high quality, affordable prices, good customer experience, good customer service. Now, corporate failure is common, driven by poor reviews, rapid expansion without adequate controls, weak management, insufficient working capital, and unclear or inconsistent branding. So these are problems which even SoPa can face, which even SoPa can encounter. So how is SoPa working towards bettering reviews? How are we controlling our expansion? How are we managing my working capital? F1 syllabus, working capital management, payables management, receivables management, working capital cycle. And inconsistent branding. How am I maintaining my brand, my prices, and hence my costs? So different costing techniques, P1 syllabus, become important. The industry growth has been sluggish at approximately 3% per year, constrained by low consumer confidence, inflation, and elevated interest rates across Zealand. So it's a highly competitive market. Companies are failing, and the industry growth rate is at approximately 3%. So naturally, SoPa will have to now do something different. Over the past 10 years, we have been successful. We have been growing 300 employees, 41 million revenue, 9 restaurants. But now if we want to keep growing, we will have to deal with these problems which have been mentioned, controls, working capital, expanding properly, to make sure we are on that growth path. Now, restaurants face mounting cost pressures from food price inflation, property costs, minimum wages, all of which squeeze the margins. So, controlling the costs, setting proper prices, making proper decisions, considering risk in your decisions. So risk related decision making, all of these are your P1 syllabus areas which can be heavily tested because of the nature of how they have mentioned this stuff for you. Now, high staff turnover makes recruitment, training, and maintaining consistent service quality particularly difficult. A challenge that affects the entire industry. So now this is a challenge which they've given us. How will SoPa move ahead of this challenge? So how do we make sure that people stay with us for long? People are trained well, because in the restaurant industry, the people make the company. So now overall, these are the industry challenges which are being faced. Competition, corporate failure, slow growth rate, cost pressures, turnover challenges. These are the major challenges which are being faced in the industry. So these are challenges which even SoPa is facing. But how are we going to move ahead to serve our customers better is the question over here, and this is what is pushing the market forward. That's your emerging trends like technology adoption. A lot of businesses are now embracing technology, using AI in their menu development, using AI in their ordering systems, in their kitchen operations. Remember, Gen AI is a new addition in your E1 syllabus. Again, people are offering enhanced customer experience. So they're, giving customers more and more quality costing. Dynamic pricing strategies, better pricing strategies, off-peak prices, on-peak prices, to increase the number of occupancies. So different pricing strategies. P1 comes into the picture over here. Expansion to home delivery services, the biggest area which SoPa can look at is expansion to home delivery services through maybe a delivery aggregator or having your own delivery service. So this is your risk related decision making. This is your relevant costs in decision making, because they can clearly be a situation in the exam where they tell you that, okay, now we are starting a new home delivery service. So which are the costs we should consider and not consider, for example. So all of these opportunities and all of these problems which are being mentioned give rise to a whole lot of opportunities, give rise to a whole lot of areas of consideration for SoPa, which we also need to keep in mind. And that is why this, in-depth overview is being created for you. Now I've just switched to, and I will keep switching to, my full pre-scene analysis document. So remember the full 3-hour pre-scene that I mentioned? That comes with a full pre-scene document as well, which is on your screen. And in this document, we do it a little differently. It's the same stuff, yes, but you'll keep finding boxes of relation to E1, P1, and F1 more clearly. So the next section is extract from the SoPa website. So they've given us an extract from SoPa's website. They're telling you about our story, which is that husband and wife started this company. They came from Latin America, settled in Zealand. Zealand has become their home now. It's a place which they call home. And then this is where they started to build their first restaurant. And that's where, in that restaurant, they had their Latin American food, which was the thought initially. The food is very, very clearly mentioned of being elevated with contemporary techniques, fresh local ingredients, and deep respect for sustainability. Now, this is my culture. Sustainability becomes very important from environmental costing perspective because we are committed to that. Local ingredients, meaning supply chain management, will become very, very important. Your dealership with your with your suppliers, working capital becomes very, very important. You are using elevated techniques, so cost perspective is being added. Essentially, these are aspects about SoPa which I want to know because these are the crux of my business. Good techniques, local produce, sustainability, respect, all of this is pushing SoPa forward. We already have 9 restaurants which they've told us. There are majorly in Tombor 6 and the other 3 are in different parts of Zealand. The team is very, very important for us. See, earlier we learned that in this industry there are a lot of challenges of high staff turnover. This is being targeted by us investing in our team. Invest very clearly, team is important for us. We've already noted it. So essentially training, development, the HR aspects are being focused upon from the E1 syllabus by SoPa. So this will reduce the high staff turnover problem which has been repeatedly spoken about. After that, we'll move directly to the managers sections. So these are my key directors. These are the people who are running my business. I first want to look at the key management teams that have been provided for us. For this, I will switch back to our overview. In our overview, we'll continue from there. So if you look at the overview, you'll see that SoPa operates with a very clear functional management structure with dedicated leadership across operations, finance, HR, marketing. But Paolo and Sofia remain heavily involved at every level. We have a functional structure in place, which means the boss is at the top and then under him there will be different managers looking after different departments. That's what we saw in the image as well, right? Paolo is at the top, under him Sofia, everything related to operations Sofia is looking at. Everything related to marketing Tobias is looking at. Human resources Lu Chen is looking at, and finance Raj is looking at. This is a very clear functional structure provided. What is a functional structure, a divisional structure, a matrix structure is in your E1 syllabus. So let's look at what each manager is good at. Now, Paolo is responsible for overall business leadership, menu development, and food quality standards across all 9 restaurants. So Paolo is going to be at the top. He has his knowledge in menu development, he has been a chef, so he's running all of those aspects. Sophia has background of kitchen operations, so she is running the day-to-day operations across all restaurants, including design, customer experience, and front of house training is looked after by Sophia. Tobias is a marketing director. So he brings experience from large restaurant chains. He has worked in restaurant chains. He's responsible for branding, promotion, and all marketing activities for SoPa. He has that background. So now why is it important to know management? Because only if I know the people who are running my company, only then can I essentially, understand the culture of the business, the direction that the business is going in. Because obviously, if I know the people who are running it, taking the day-to-day decisions, I can better understand the direction that they're pushing the company in. So Paolo is at the top, Sophia looking at operations, Tobias has background in marketing, looking at marketing, Lou focuses on recruitment, employee well-being, training, staff development. All of this is very important because we have 300 employees. If we have 300 employees and in this industry there is high staff turnover, we need an HR manager, which we have. Then we have Raj, who leads the finance function, responsible for everything related to finance. Now, this is my management team. This is the people who are running the business day to day. If I look at it, we also have, they've also rather given us the breakup of each teams. So under finance, we'll obviously have Raj is at the top, Jack, who is head of finance, is supporting him. And under Jack, we have 3 finance officers, 2 assistants. You are one of these finance officers. So you need to assist Jack. Jack eventually will assist Raj. Raj is your final boss. Same way, we have a restaurant operations team. Sophia comes at the top. Then there is a head of kitchen, head of front of house, head of property, plant and equipment. All 3 report to Sophia. So again, a very clear functional structure which is, being presented. And every restaurant also, we have 9 restaurants. So every restaurant also has a head chef and has a front of house manager. Chef looks after the kitchen, front of house looks after the restaurant operations. Each restaurant manager at the end of the day, remember, reports to Sophia because she is, the operations director. So this is the breakdown that they have given us about our company's current situation. Coming back to my overview. See, remember, in this overview, we are learning about our company. We are learning about a synopsis of our company, which is essentially, helping me with the crux of this case study exam. Because without knowing your company, you cannot write mock questions, you cannot relate your knowledge because you don't know your company. So this is a very important stepping stone. Next, SoPa's operations. First, let's look at menu and product development. This is going to be very, very important, obviously, because if our menu and products, or rather our menu is not developed well, then we cannot serve our customers properly, which will affect my reviews. So SoPa uses a consistent menu across all 9 restaurants to maintain brand identity and customer experience. Paolo leads the menu development, including signature dishes and weekly specials. And new dishes are supported by strong recipes which the chefs have to step by step follow. One major hint we already have is the expansion of SoPa into delivery. Another hint they are giving us is that SoPa is considering developing branded dips for retail sale. So a move that would take the business beyond restaurants into consumer food products. This is an opportunity which is being looked at for growth. Next, operations. 9 restaurants are currently operating with a 10th going to open already. So now imagine they've told us that businesses fail because they're growing too quickly, working capital issues, staff issues. SoPa is growing, yes, but now one more restaurant is being opened. So each restaurant shares the same menu, same decor. Restaurants open daily from 12:30 to 11:30 with 100 seats and a maximum capacity of 300 covers per day. So essentially there are 100 seats. We need to try to make sure how we can maximize covers, how we can maximize people entering into our essentially the restaurant, because once they enter, only then they will be placing an order. So overall, we want to understand that this is a little bit of a limiting factor for my business. Limiting factor because this is the maximum that you can serve. So how do I make the best of these 100 seats? How do I make the best of the 300 covers to achieve the highest possible revenue should be a discussion. Limiting factor analysis, which products to highlight, which items on the menu to highlight, to sell first, to gain maximum contribution. These are things from P1 which I want to start thinking about. SoPa is much committed to sustainability. Sustainability is a major focus in the CIMA new syllabus updates. You can expect a sustainability scenario, a sustainability theme, a question based around sustainability, because they have heavily focused on sustainability. And they're mentioning it in the pre-scene as well that SoPa is committed to green electricity, sourcing material, or rather sourcing for us ingredients, furniture from local suppliers, try to reduce as much waste as possible. So this is SoPa's sustainability commitment. Look at employees. SoPa employs 30 head office staff and approximately 31 employees per restaurant. So overall, roughly 300 people is what we employ. Paolo and Sofia have historically prioritized fair wages, training, and good working conditions. As the restaurant network grows, maintaining this culture is very, very important so that my employees remain happy. Because if my employees do not remain happy, then naturally there is going to be a lot of issues with employee, happiness, a lot of staff turnover, which will affect your reviews. Now, because we are speaking about operations and all of this so much, digital costing is coming to my mind. Is there an opportunity for SoPa to develop our own app on which we sell our dips, on which we can accept delivery orders, on which we can, on which is a in-house ordering system? When you go to a restaurant, there's a tab on which you can place your orders. Is that something, is there an opportunity for SoPa to develop a digital product? Yes. So definitely a scenario around digital costing can also come up, which is your P1 syllabus. Next, ingredients and suppliers. This is very important for us because SoPa purchases fresh meat, fish, eggs, dairy, fruit, vegetables, dry ingredients. No frozen ingredients are used because we support quality. Remember that. Supplies are delivered directly to each restaurant. Fresh fish and dairy each rely on single suppliers. So now question comes about over here, single sourcing versus multiple sourcing. Should we, how do we manage the payments for these suppliers? Because that affects my working capital. So essentially having a whole bunch of suppliers is an area to look at, and within my detailed, financial analysis of these suppliers, or rather my detailed pre-scene analysis, we speak a lot about how we can manage working capital because of this situation that we are in, and because we have so many different suppliers for different categories. Just going to put it on your screen quickly so you know what I am speaking about. You will see that we've done an analysis which says fresh meat has 3 suppliers, and then we broke it down this way for each category. So there is a single supplier for fresh fish and dairy. So single sourcing, multiple sourcing needs to be considered. Now, fresh fish has a 30 or rather a 15-day payment. Average supplier credit terms are 30 days. For fresh meat, fresh fish is 15 days. So if it's 15 days, it's the shortest credit period, which means the fastest cash outflow. This helps us understand how we can manage our cash better, accounts payable better, because having an understanding of who I need to pay first, who I need to pay last, can help me make a better analysis of my overall payments. So overall we have 18 suppliers over 7 categories, which is a big number which needs to be very carefully analyzed. So your order placing, economic order quantity, material price requirement, which is from your core areas A and F, very clearly comes into the picture over here. You're buying from so many different areas, so your variances come into the picture. Material price variances, planning variances, operational variances. Variances are a heavily tested topic in this exam. So this is about SoPa's overview operations. I'll just do an overview of the financials with you, because naturally I cannot go through the entire financials in this summary analysis. But I will go through my analysis. I'll tell you what we do. So we first analyze the actual numbers which have been provided, and then we will provide you an analysis on these numbers. So while going through the analysis, let's figure out that the revenue has increased by 15%. The cost of sales went up by 13%. So revenue went up higher than the cost of sales. So cost, ingredient cost, direct cost was controlled well. That is why there was a good increase in gross profit at 18%. Marketing costs have gone up. So maybe marketing costs went up, that is why revenue went up. Good marketing. So our marketing director did a good job, with his 30 years of experience. Admin expenses also went up, but essentially revenue drive was high, and that is why my operating profits and profit before tax close to 40, between the 40 and 50% range, which means that the business is highly profitable right now. The business is moving in the right direction, right growth. If these customer complaints are taken care of and we can be more consistent in our delivery, the business will keep growing, and then expansion. So maybe because of all of these possible numbers, positive numbers, the management is looking at expansion. That's our analysis of the statement of profit or loss. Within my detailed analysis, obviously we speak about the solid numbers, then the analysis, then we give you some conclusions. But over here we are just going through the analysis because this is the summary. Now to my financial position. Now if I look at the financial position, there are only some things which I want to discuss in this summary. Number 1, property, plant and equipment went up. So yes, there would have been depreciation, but there has definitely been an appreciation or a purchase, IS 16. Your current assets have pretty much remained stable from last year, no massive changes. Equities have pretty much remained the same. Your loan has been repaid, so cash has gone out. Your current liabilities have pretty much also remained stable. One thing you'll see over here is that our business has pretty much zero receivables. 150,000 of receivables is nothing for a 40 million turnover, right? Why? Because when people come to your restaurant, they'll pay you then and there itself. This 150 which is pending is credit card payments which will come to you in 1 or 2 days. the bank settlement period. Otherwise, you have zero receivables. But that is why you are holding high cash of close to 1 million, because this will be needed to pay off your trade payables, your other payables, which are at 1.4 and 1.2 million respectively. So the current ratio and quick ratio for this business will be very negative, will be an alarming factor for us, because we don't have any receivables and we have high payables which keep sitting on my balance sheet because 30 to 60 day payment terms. But essentially we have good cash position to cover this. So this was an important instruction which I wanted to give. Also, one more thing is you'll see no right of use of asset, which means currently the business is not involved with leasing. Otherwise there would be right of use of asset, there will be non-current liability, right? That is not present. So leasing can be the consideration moving forward as the business grows. These are the same explanations which I have done regarding the current ratio, the quick ratio over here. Next, we have a statement of cash flows. For the statement of cash flows, I will also again look at some major aspects. The major aspects being that property, plant and equipment was purchased, healthy amount, a dividend was paid and a profit, which is essentially profit paid out to the owners because the business did good, and at the end we still have a healthy, heavy cash position. Again, if this was my detailed analysis, I will go through line by line explaining everything to you, because this is the summary. We are looking at important aspects only. Next, coming to the budgets. Now this is a very important, contentious rather aspect which students have been very much discussing, because this is changed from the past case study attempts. Up until now, every time they used to give an absorption costing system. Now they've changed it around a little bit, and this time around they've told us, or not told us, but they've indicated that the business is using a marginal costing system. The business is using a marginal costing direction. How do we know that? Because when you look at this presentation of the table, you will see that only direct costs are considered. After direct costs are considered in one block, these fixed costs, indirect costs, are not divided for each product, for each dish. No, there's only one block at the end which is subtracted. So pretty much your revenue minus the direct cost gives you the contribution. From the contribution, you remove your fixed costs, you get your gross profit. So this presentation is very much linked to a marginal costing system which the business is following. So very obvious questions would be shift maybe backwards to an absorption costing system, knowing the advantages, disadvantages of that system, advantages, disadvantages of your current system, advantages, disadvantages of an activity-based costing system. All of this is very realistic, which can happen especially because of the new introduction of products which we are considering. After that, we analyze the budgeted revenue and direct cost for the food. When I analyze the budgeted revenue, we will again see over here that majority of our revenue is going to come from mains. Close to 17 million is coming from the mains. But the most profitable product, the most profitable margin product for me is starters. So by doing this analysis, I am understanding that if I were to promote starters, if I were to try to sell more starters, because it's a high profit driving product for me, it would be better for my business's profitability. So how can I sell more starters? That's what I want to think of, because that's a more profit generating product for me. This also I have explained in my detailed analysis, but I'm looking at the summary for you, overall numbers for you, overall direction for you. Now, principal budget factors. They've told us that the budget is created keeping one thing in mind, which is number of covers, and a cover is a single customer. Now you'll see that all of these numbers which they've taken, like they're assuming 85% occupancy, they're assuming that the restaurant will run for 360 days. All of this is naturally taken from past experiences and past budgets because you have been in the market for 10 years. Which very clearly again indicates that an incremental budgeting system is being followed. Now there is no mention of we use marginal costing, we use incremental budgeting. But what we are trying to do is the images and the figures that they have given me, I am using them to derive, I am using them to understand the hints which CIMA is giving me. Otherwise, how do you know that your occupancy is at 85%? Naturally, you are using information from the past budget, adjusting it. If you're adjusting it, you're using an incremental budget. So they're telling us that an assumption has been made that 80% order a starter. Where is this coming from? Past data. 100% order a main, 40% order a dessert, 100% order 2 cold beverages, and 50% order 1 hot beverage. Why has this been given to you? Because all of this is driving revenue and driving cost as well. You expect 872,100 customers in your restaurant. And then according to this assumption and according to what they order, these budgets are created. I have a deeper analysis available for the cost volume limiting factor decisions, but essentially this is what the theme is and why they have given this information. So if you look at the overall summary, last year compared to this year, which means 2025 compared to this year's budget, we expect an 18% growth, which is still healthy, which is still very good, very positive, with one new restaurant also being added. Now after that, they've given us the budgets for each of our products. I will go through, in this summary, I will go through the budgets for one product, which is the starters, because obviously we're trying to fit everything within 1 hour. And then you can follow this method for the analysis for the other products as well. Naturally, if you're doing my full analysis, everything will be given to you through this annotated, well explained, well presented document, and I will explain line by line for you. Because this is a summary again, we are on the major aspects. So okay, they've given us standards per starter. Again, very clear that a standard costing system is being followed. It's proven that it's a marginal costing system, it's an incremental budgeting system. They've given us selling price and they've given us profit after direct cost, and they've given us margin. Naturally, I want to look at the margins because profit can be deceiving. Profit is, can be high, but investment can also be high. For example, for a special, the profit is 8.93, but the ingredient cost is so high, the labor cost is so high. Whereas the profit for a salad is 9.58. Why? Because the ingredient cost is low, direct cost is low. So I want to look at the margins for a realistic overview. Very clearly tells me that salad is the highest margin starter for me. Next comes the tostada, then the taco, then ceviche, and then the special. So special is special and ceviche are the highest priced, but it doesn't mean that it's going to give me the highest margin. The highest margin comes after considering the ingredient cost, the labor cost, which salad leads, then tostada, then the taco, then the ceviche, then the special. This is important for us because this tells us what we should promote, what we should try to sell more, what we should make sure customers order, because this will directly drive profit for me. This is my product. If I sell my product more, so if I sell my salad more, my margin will be higher. Revenue might be less, okay, but my margin will be higher. At the end of the day, we are here to earn a profit, right? This has been explained within my conclusions. Then they've given me budgeted revenue for the starters. If I look at the revenue mix for the starters, they've told me that 30% order a taco, only 15% go for a special, only 15% go for a salad. Remember, salad and tostada was highly profitable. So how can I make this 15 and 20%, maybe 20 and 25? Can I promote this? Because if I can promote this, it will have a direct effect on my profit. Only if you're doing this budgeted analysis, you get these ideas. If you're not doing this budget analysis in this detail, how will you even get these ideas? Same way, we have done the budgeted direct costs table. And same way, we have done the mains analysis for you, where we take each table, discuss the mains, where we take the revenue, discuss the mains, where we take the costs, discuss the mains. So essentially what I want you to do is look at each table, try to understand which is your highest price product, which is your highest margin product, which product you are selling the most for starters. Then do the same for mains. Then do the same for your sides and desserts. You will understand which are your hero products, which are your most important products, which are your highest selling products, which are your highest profitable products. Because around that, your company's strategy should be based to make sure that you are making good, considerable profits. Because a non-profitable business is not a business people want to invest in. And as you keep growing, you might need money, right? So we've done the same analysis for your sides and for your beverages as well. As you can see, I'm just scrolling down on my screen. At the end, they've given me revenue running costs. After this budget analysis, I did the starters deep analysis with you. Mains, sides and desserts and beverages. These three sections, you can follow the same way I taught. On my detailed analysis, we go through everything with you line by line. So now very clear direction that this is marginal costing further given to you, because they have said that fixed costs, or rather restaurant running costs, are divided into two parts, variable and fixed. The variable is directly related to the direct costs per dish, which is your ingredient costs, which is your labor costs. Your fixed costs cover all the other aspects, which is your rent, your salaries, all of that, which is deducted as one block. If this were marginal cost, absorption costing, they would give us fixed overhead absorption rate. For each product, they would show that, okay, for this product, salaries is this much, rent is this much, because absorption costing is a full costing system, considers all the costs. Over here, we have considered only variable costs. So naturally, marginal costing is being used. That brings me to the news article section. Now in the news article section, there are some very clear and good insights, where my suggestion for everybody is read the news article section very carefully, very clearly, because often exam themes are picked from the news article. So the first one is exploring Zealand's gastronomic world, one meal at a time. So staffing crisis is being spoken of, and investment in AI robots could be a definite theme. Digital ordering systems, so your digital costing, investment in AI, investment in robots could be a theme. That's what I have explained in my analysis. The second article is speaking to Paolo and Sofia, where they speak about quality, where they speak about all of our expansion plans. So there will definitely be a question around this, because they often pick exam themes from these articles. And that is why we have provided very solid summaries for each articles, telling you what its relevance is for SoPa. And then at the end, they've given us tax information. I want you to know that tax depreciation allowances are 25% reducing balance on items of property, plant and equipment, including computers. On property assets, there is no tax depreciation allowance. Even if you buy it at the end of the year, you will get the depreciation allowance for the full year. So the government is promoting businesses to buy and helping businesses to buy property, plant and equipment. And tax losses can be carried forward indefinitely. Let's say you start a dips business which you make a loss on. You can carry forward that loss. If you make a profit next year, that loss will be deducted from the profit and you will pay less tax. So the government is again helping you start new ventures, help the economy. This information has been provided which is directly linking to your F1 syllabus. And guess what? To help you, we have provided you an example of what tax depreciation allowance would mean for SoPa, what carry forward losses would mean for SoPa. So that was the synopsis of, the pre-scene, our company, which we are going to be tested upon in the August exam. So through this interactive guide, we first understood the exam, then we understood the blueprints, then we understood our company. So a whole lot of material being provided to you through this interactive guide itself. Now, if you choose to take it one step forward by signing up to one of our study courses, by accessing one of our study courses, then automatically your prep goes to a completely different level, because in our twice a week live lessons, I introduce each aspect, I check mocks with you, I mark the mocks with you, I provide you with suggested answer analysis. We go through everything one by one, holding your hand through this process and making sure we succeed. If you have any questions, you can join our WhatsApp community. If you look at the bottom left hand side, there is a WhatsApp community option which you can join. You can directly email me help@finntutors.com. You can directly WhatsApp me as well. I am on the community group. From there you can access my number and you can directly WhatsApp me as well. And we will personally help you out with your question, with your doubts, whatever doubt you may have. So this is only the synopsis. Now the next step is a study plan. Because you've understood you've understood the blueprints, you've understood the background of what to study. You've understood that the pre-scene company SoPa, what the company does, the financials, we understood all of that. Now let's have a plan to consolidate these two before we move to mock question writing. So now most students reread the pre-scene and call it studying. They go through everything in the textbook, call it studying. But what we do is 6 to 7 weeks, a solid study plan to help you ace this exam. So let's say you are starting today, for example. In the first week, you should first spend your time understanding the exam, which means through this video, through the past papers, try to understand the layout of the exam, what the exam is like, what your exam is, understand all of that. Understand the blueprints and begin with your blueprint revision. If you're studying with us, then we will structure everything for you in our live lessons with our WhatsApp group. We will guide you, we will show you the path. But in the first week, you should start knowing the exam and start revision of the blueprints. If you're studying with us, you use our notes. If you're not studying with us, you still have the guide of the direction that we showed you. Pick each I can statement, revise topics related to that I can statement, and keep ticking off the I can statements to make sure important areas are covered. Then to the second week, a lot of students think I should first know everything about my company. I should first know the entire pre-scene. I should first know everything in E1, P1 and F1. Only then I can move forward. I believe this is a mistake. Revision has to continue in the background, but side by side you need to pick up your company. I've already done the SoPa overview for you. But while you begin your revision and you get a hang of your revision, you need to spend time on the pre-scene world. Again, if you're studying with us, we do a full 3-hour pre-scene analysis for you. So we point out the topics for you and you are not doing any topic hunting anywhere, because we will do all of that work. So your admin time gets completely removed because we are helping you focus on the things that matter. So once you begin with your revision, Side by side, we pick up the pre-scene and we start analyzing the pre-scene. While going through the pre-scene, very clearly understand the issues, the opportunities, the areas, the problems, the SWOT, strengths, weakness, opportunities and threats which your company can face. Next, while going through the pre-scene, because naturally covering the entire revision altogether is not possible. So your revision will continue in the background, each I can statement once at a time. Your pre-scene review will also continue in the background. Slowly you are covering that up as well. So pre-scene is something that you go through multiple times. Now the pre-scene is available in the exam. But if you keep going back to the pre-scene in the exam, then that's time wasted. So what we want to do is make sure we know the details of our company in and out, and that will happen by carefully going through the pre-scene multiple times. So in the first couple weeks, 3 weeks, what we want to do is get our base sorted, which means get our revision done as much as possible. Get my company knowledge, financial knowledge of the company done as much as possible. And this is simple by quickly going through the pre-scene multiple times. Not once, 2, 3, 4 times go through the pre-scene, understand the budgets, the financials. I've already done the overview for you. I've already done the summary synopsis for you in this video itself. Just go through that a couple of times, look at the pre-scene, let the numbers sink in. This base will help you for your weeks 4, 5 and 6 building up to the exam. Because this is where we begin with mock question writing. This is where you should be devoting your time as well to writing. Because if we don't devote to writing, we have seen a lot of students who have all the knowledge, know your company, but when it comes to actually typing it out in 45 minutes, they go blank. And to eradicate this, we have developed 25 mock questions. Through this interactive guide, I'm going to give you access to 6 to 7 questions for you to take a look, for you to try. So this will definitely help you. But we have 25 mock questions. Each are personally marked, checked, corrected, sent back with suggested answers, model answers, so you learn. And this also we do set-wise. We don't directly throw you into a 3-hour exam. We will first give you one question, 45 minutes. You make your mistakes. You learn from the process. Then 2 questions. Eventually we'll move to 4 question exams, exactly like the exam, but we'll help you reach there. So when you are also in week 4, 5 of your study, your revision is being done, side by side, you are going through the pre-scene. What I would recommend is try to do as much writing practice as possible. As much writing practice as you can get your hand on. If you're studying with us, mocks come from us. If you're self-studying, the best tool to use is your past papers. Now, past papers will be based on a different pre-scene, definitely. My mock questions are based on SoPa. But past papers can definitely be used to understand how they are asking. You can think of the task from SoPa's perspective and actually type it out. Because until and unless you type it out, you will not understand where your mistakes are. So once you keep practicing, your practice then goes to the next level where you look at the exam marking perspective. The examiner's marking perspective, you'll understand that this exam rewards well explained points. I'm going to speak about that deeper into our interactive guide discussion. We're only on page 18 or chapter 8 of 19. So we have a whole lot left to still cover. But as you keep revising closer to your exam date, you should understand what examiners give marks for. What marks are awarded for, what is level 1, level 2, level 3. So if you keep practicing, keeping all of this in mind, then we arrive into the exam fresh, not frantic. Because I've done my prep. I've focused on the 3 major pillars of this exam: revision, pre-scene, writing. Even if you're self-studying, revision, pre-scene, past papers, writing, if you do this, you arrive at the exam fresh. So these are the major aspects which we try to divide our study time for in the weeks building up to this exam, and the course is structured in such a way from our end which ensures that each of the areas are one by one introduced for students. Now to the most interesting, exciting part. Now we told you that there are certain topics which are important which we pick up when we do our pre-scene analysis. When you do our full 3-hour pre-scene, we give you a topic list as well, which is a further summarized list of the most important topics which keep coming up in this exam, which we have highlighted after going through this SoPa pre-scene. And I also spoke about those topics when I did the overview with you. Now, to take it one step further and to make it the best possible interactive guide for you, we have collated those topics and put them into one PDF file for you. When you do my full course or my on-demand course, our 25 mock questions cover questions on these important topics. We test you on key important areas which we know can come up in the exam. So that's part of the course. But still, we have collated our one-of-a-kind document. I've just clicked on it and opened it up live in front of you. This is the most important topics to first revise. I'm not saying that these are the only topics which will come up in the exam. No. The full list, the full map of the I can statements, our full notes, that's available in the course. When you do that, plus when you do 25 of our mock questions, I can then guarantee that, okay, your study is foolproof. So now with all of that in our mind and all of that now gathered about this exam, so much wealth I have gathered, now I am on the most important topics I want to first revise. So these are revision notes which are put together by the Finntutors team. These are very clear, directed, exam focused. No fluff, no extra information directly related to the exam. So whether you're just getting started or you're deep into your revision, you can still use these notes as a foundation to help you take your preparation to the next level. So what we did was we picked up the core areas and we picked up important topics, which are the most important areas which we feel first you should revise, have been put over here to help aid your revision. Now, I am not going to go through all of the topics with you because the notes have been given to you. When you slowly, steadily work through them, automatically you'll see the quality of the material, you'll see the depth of the material, and you'll see the value that the material adds to your preparation. So essentially, the first topic we are covering is absorption costing. Now, how we'll help you understand absorption costing is that it's a method that assigns all production costs to units. Full cost per unit is what absorption costing gives me. You'll see that there are no sums, no definitions, no mugging up, absolutely nothing. It's explained with simple examples. That's what we want you to take away, because again, this is not a theory testing exam. It's an exam which tests my application. So for me to apply, I need to know the topics in my own words. Only if I know it in my own words can I actually apply, can I actually relate it in a particular scenario situation which they raise for me. So that's absorption costing, and then we explain the process for you. Same way we'll do marginal costing. When we do marginal costing, we'll do same. We'll tell you that it considers variable costs only. Fixed costs are not absorbed into units. You keep your fixed costs separate, which you cannot really control. You can control your variable costs, so we'll look at them in marginal costing decision making. Again, simple synopsis for you. Next comes my pricing approaches. So over here I'm telling you what full cost plus pricing, marginal cost plus pricing method is. Because when we did the SoPa pre-scene, we know that my company is using the marginal costing system. So now how do I decide my cost based on a marginal costing system? Generally, a marginal cost plus pricing system is used. So come up with your marginal cost, you add a markup, and the price of your dish or your price of your product is decided accordingly. But now when I have done the pre-scene overview, and now when I do this important topic revision, I can start making sense of things in a much better way. Same way, we then have activity based costing explained. Now you know what SoPa does. When you are going through the activity based costing explanation, the step by step explanation which I have provided, you can think about SoPa. So what would be the activities for SoPa? What would be the costs assigned? What would be the cost drivers? Or rather, what would be the cost pools, then the cost drivers, then what will be the cost driver rate? How will this help SoPa? Better costing, better understanding, better pricing. So you start to make sense of these notes in a much better way if you first go through the pre-scene, then side by side do your revision of these important topics through our notes. And if this is happening on the interactive guide, imagine if we are introducing all of the aspects for you step by step in our twice a week classes with constant WhatsApp support as well, you are bound to be ready for this exam. Then we explain the activity based costing hierarchy for you, how costs are split, unit level, batch level, product level, facility level. We explain that for you step by step. That was the costing system. The next section is LPP, a very highly tested area in the exam and one which students especially very much struggle with. So, because students struggle with LPP, we have decided to give you our notes on it. And it's part of your I can statement which helps with short-term decision making. So, we'll first tell you what LPP means, what LPP looks like, what the core elements of an LPP are, and then we'll give you a very simple case study style example. You'll see a furniture factory produces 2 items. So you can think of it as SoPa as well. SoPa produces 2 dishes. The factory manager needs to decide, or rather the chef now needs to decide which dish to prioritize because we have limited kitchen hours, for example. You can start to visualize these things because you know your company and because these notes help you do that. So how to read a graph? If you know how to read a graph through my example analysis, which we have step by step told you what the feasible region is, what the corner points are, what the optimal mix is, what should be the resource utilization, what we've given for you, then any graph that they give you in the exam will be easy for you because graph remains graph. LPP basics remain LPP basics. Just the theme will be around SoPa. So these notes are helping you understand the crux of your business, the crux of the important topics which can be asked because of the nature of my business, because of the type of business that SoPa is in. Next, we have multi-product break-even charts. Same way, like an LPP, they can give you a multi-product break-even chart and tell you to read it. Over here, we have used an example of a company which sells toys, books, and clothes. It can be SoPa. We sell so many dishes, starters, mains, desserts. So they can give you a multi-product break-even chart for any category. They can tell you, okay, what is line A, what is line B. You should be able to read what is line A, what is line B, what the lines on the graph mean, what the break-even point is. And this example helps you with that. So when you have gone through this example, you know how to read a graph. Now let them give me any graph in the exam. I don't care because now I am ready. Now I am good to go because I have already revised in the correct direction. Same way, we now have risk related decision making, which is your payoff tables reading. Very many times in the exam, they will give you a payoff table, which means they will give you a payoff table and then tell you according to different decision making criteria. For example, maximax, minimax, minimax regret, maximin, which particular option will be chosen. Or if a manager is a risk seeker, which option will be chosen. If a manager is risk averse, which option will be chosen. They'll give you the table like it's been given over here. You see, I have given you again a case study based example only. And then I provide you an answer explanation with very simple examples. So now if in the exam you know your company, you have revised it with my important topic notes, then in the exam if a payoff table is given, what is difficult? Because you exactly know that okay, table remains stable, the numbers will change, the principle remains the same. Maximax principle is the same, maximin principle is the same, just the numbers will change. Next, same way for budgeting techniques. They can tell you that currently we have an incremental budgeting system. When we went through the pre-scene, we have assumed, they've not told us, but naturally, based on our past budgets, we have decided my future budgets. So incremental budgeting system is being used. Now they are moving to, for example, a rolling budget system. They are moving to a zero-based budget system. What will be the steps? They're moving to activity-based costing and hence activity-based budgeting system. So these tables very clearly help you understand which budgeting system means what are the examples, what are the advantages of each budgeting system. Even beyond budgeting is a new system. So essentially, if you know the different budgeting systems, if you know what your company currently does, then whatever scenario they raise in the exam, I don't care because I'm going to be ready. Next, we have variances. Very favorite exam questions. So now all of the topics that I have over here are favorite exam questions. So essentially, I'm already helping you identify and summarize your study. So all variances are important. They can give you a situation saying that okay, you won't have to calculate the variances, or no calculation you will have to do, like for leases or even for the graphs or the tables, nothing. They'll give you everything ready in the exam. You'll only have to read it. They'll tell you that my sales price variance is negative. This, is what has happened. You'll have to interpret it. Tell them that okay, sales price variance negative means this. It could have happened because of this. But for that, your concept of what is sales price variance will have to be clear. We've given you the causes over here. Same way for material price variance. We've given you the causes over here. Same way for your idle time variances, your variable overhead expense variances, your fixed overhead variances. These are very important from the case study perspective. Next topic, you'll see all of the topics I'm picking up are directly linked to your blueprint areas, directly linked to your I can statements, and we have seen them come up in the past. That is why we are giving you these summary notes. So relevant costs, what are the relevant costs? What are irrelevant costs? What are relevant revenues? Irrelevant revenues? We help you understand this with the help of the simple layout tables. You'll not see this anywhere else. We have created these tables to aid your study, to help you understand the concepts in a very limited way, but in a very easy way as well. Now, a very prominent question in the exam is our working capital stuff, because the weightage is significant for working capital. It's been increased. So a lot of working capital questions is what we can expect. So we need to know our concepts of the working capital cycle. We need to know the management of working capital. We need to know the management of payables, receivables, all of which we have provided for you within this study notes section. Now the most technical part about your revision is IFRS 16 and IAS. All of your F1 IFRSs, IASs, IFRS 16, IAS 16, your property, plant and equipment, non-current asset held for sale, all of the IASs in F1, we create flashcards for you. I've just put an example over here of what the flashcards look like. So you'll see in one page, we help you revise entire IFRS 16. In one page, we help you revise entire IS 16. That's one page revision for you. These flashcards are incredibly helpful because they're not going to ask you, okay, explain what IS 16 means. No, they'll tell you that we have purchased a new asset. These are the details. You'll have to tell them that, okay, for initial measurement, we include the cost of the asset plus any directly attributable costs. For subsequent measurement, we'll decide the depreciation for the asset, how we want to depreciate the asset, so on and so forth. So you need to know the rules of IAS 16, which we have put over here for you. What is the subsequent measurement like? What is the depreciation like? What are the disclosures like? Very clearly, all of the aspects have been presented for you within these revision notes. Please use them well. So if you see up until now, so much wealth of knowledge we have gathered, and we have external PDFs as well, like the pre-scene overview PDF, like this important topics PDF. Download them, use them for your study. These will take your learning to the next level. I can guarantee that for you. So I gave you, what this exam is. We did a pre-scene overview together. We know our company SoPa. We then gave you important topics and notes on the important topics so that you can go through them, so that you can revise them, look at the quality of our material. But technical knowledge alone does not pass or does not help you pass the exam. This exam is a lot to do with communication, how you write, your professional judgment, how you present your answer, your business acumen, how you tie it back to your company. This exam is all of this combined. So now this section onwards, the only thing we'll be focusing on is, bettering answer writing, or how do I use my knowledge, how do I use my pre-scene knowledge both together to present a good solid answer. So everything from here is actually how to write, writing style, writing practice. So up until now, you've covered what this exam is, what it's built around. But now the next step goes to planning, command verbs, PEA, levels-based writing, all of the nuances of this exam, all of the nuances of mock writing. Now we will cover. So to cover this, we will be using one of my created mock questions, which is in the exact same pattern, structure, system of the exam. It's exactly like the exam. This is something which you can expect in the exam, and you will see very similar type of questions coming up in the exam as well, because we have been doing this a long time now. We know the unseens, the themes, the type of tasks that they ask in the OCS. So based on that, we create our 25 mock questions. This first question is going to be picked up for discussion with you. I will discuss all the parts of this question one by one for you. So what does a case study question actually look like? Now, case study question looks exactly like this. It starts with an email, and then we move on to a theme. So let's read. You are receiving from Jack Griggs. From our pre-scene overview, we already know this is the head of finance. He's then reporting to Raj. The subject is new restaurant opening and Neeland expansion. Fine. In our pre-scene overview, we already know that the company is looking to expand in dips, vertical farming, and even nearby countries if there is an opportunity. So as you are aware, SoPa's 10th restaurant is due to open 1st July. The SMT originally decided to outsource maintenance of the kitchen equipment in the new restaurant, including grills, oven, refrigeration units, and cooking equipment. and has signed a 3-month contract for this. However, it has been suggested that in 3 months' time, SoPa could set up its own internal kitchen equipment maintenance team. So they are setting a theme over here. They are setting a situation over here. This information is called unseen information. Because you have not seen this before, right? When you start your exam, every question has an email-like format, and the first thing is they will set the theme. They will set the unseen. They will set the scenario. So the scenario is set over here that for our 10th restaurant, kitchen equipment maintenance will be outsourced. After 3 months, we will bring it in-house. This team could take over responsibility for some or all aspects of equipment maintenance, including regular servicing and emergency repairs. Raj believes that this would be an ideal opportunity to trial the use of zero-based budgeting to establish a budget for kitchen equipment maintenance costs at the new restaurant. So you're seeing the theme. The theme was set, and then there was a pop-in of one of your syllabus areas, which is ZBB. This relates directly to your core area on budgeting. Now just imagine if you revised your core area on budgeting, and in my key topics as well, we have included zero-based budgeting. If you have that knowledge, if you have SoPa knowledge, then applying it becomes so much more easier. That is why we say revision is the place to start. Pre-seen knowledge is the place to start. So, how a ZBB approach? They're asking you, please prepare a briefing note for the SMT on how a ZBB approach can be applied to create a budget for kitchen equipment maintenance costs at the new restaurant. The 2 benefits and challenges of using ZBB to prepare this budget. There are 2 tasks over here. After that, question continues. Paolo has also been investigating the possibility of SoPa of opening SoPa's first restaurant in Zealand, neighboring country. This would be SoPa's first venture outside of Zealand, and demand levels are highly uncertain because we don't have any presence. So first unseen theme in this question was zero-based budgeting. Second one is new restaurant being opened, and on zero-based budgeting there are 2 tasks. Second one is new restaurant is being opened. This would be our first venture. A key decision is to how many covers to plan for in this first 6 months of operation. If SoPa plans too many covers, fixed staffing and ingredient costs will be overcommitted. Too less, we won't be able to serve our customers better. So we have prepared a payoff table of total costs at different plan cover levels. So this is directly taking you to your risk short-term decision making core area, your risk related decision making. They're telling you the meaning of the expected values, standard deviations, and coefficient of variation shown in table 1. You need to provide them. The table has already been created. You don't have to create the table. Table is already done. You just have to look at the table and tell me the meaning of the expected values, standard deviation, coefficient of variation. Second, please also explain how to make the decision about planned cover level using a risk averse and a risk seeking approach. So for risk averse, what will be the decision? Risk seeking, what will be the decision? You need to present that, provide that very clearly. So this task, or rather this question, is a tricky one because it has 2 unseens and 4 tasks. So this is what an exact question in the exam looks like. For every question, I want you to very clearly understand 7 things. For every question, first understand the unseen information. In this situation, in this question, there are 2 unseens. 10th restaurant opening with, that in-house kitchen maintenance ZBB. And second one, Zealand restaurant opening up expansion. That's the unseen. Okay, I understood that. The second thing I understand is the task. Over here, I very clearly know that there are 4 tasks. These 4 tasks is what I have to answer. Now the most important part which students forget, do not give importance to, is the mark weighting. Even when we did the introduction at the very beginning, you saw that each task has a percentage attached to it, right? Like in this case, the first task is 26%, then 24%, then 24%, then 26%. So what are these percentages? Now this is very, very important for us to understand. Everybody this is super crucial for your exam prep, because this clearly tells you how much to write. So now CIMA releases 3 variants for your August exam. They will be different from the May variants, even though the same SoPa pre-scene was used. The variants will be different, the questions will be different, completely different. There will be 3 exams. Each will have 4 questions, but an exam will be randomly assigned to you when you start your paper. So for example, if you sit right now, you may be assigned variant 1. I sit after 2 hours, that's variant 2. Each variant has different questions. Now because it has different questions, the difficulty of the variants is slightly different, right? One variant can have tricky topics, other variant can have less tricky topics, but all based on SoPa only. But now it's not fair to mark these 2 students where one had a little bit of a trickier paper, one had a little bit of an easier paper. So what CIMA does is it has a weighted scoring system. Now first, CIMA will mark every student's exam out of 100 marks, which means total for every student's exam is 100 marks. There are 4 questions. 100 divided by 4, 25 marks per question. This is our simple, easy calculation. 100 marks is your total exam. There are always going to be 4 questions. So that's 100 divided by 4, 25 marks for each question. Now, this entire question that you're seeing on screen is worth 25 marks. From that, there are 4 tasks. They're telling you that the first task is worth 26% of your marks. So how do I do my calculation? 26 upon 100 into 25, because it's 26% of 25, right? Because 25 is the total. So roughly 6-7 marks is task 1. Same way, 6-7 marks is task 2, 6-7 marks is task 3, 6-7 marks is task 4, because the percentages are pretty much in the same bracket, 26-24. Now you can have 50%, 40%, 30%, 20%, doesn't matter, because your calculation remains the same. 50 upon 100 into 25, 12.5 marks. 40 upon 100 into 25, 10 marks. So essentially, whatever the percentage is, your total for one question always remains 25. So please allocate accordingly. Now, what is the importance of knowing marks? Once I know marks, I can clearly figure out how much to write. Because CIMA says, as a rough ballpark figure, one well-explained point, one well-explained argument is going to give you roughly 2 to 3 marks. So if I want 6 marks, very clearly, I will have to write 3 points. That's my calculation as a ballpark figure. In the second task, they've clearly told you 2 benefits and 2 challenges. So you have to give me 2 benefits and 2 challenges. In the third one, they've told you meaning of expected values, meaning of standard deviation, meaning of coefficient of variation. You do these 3, these are your 3 points. So essentially, one well-explained point as a rough ballpark figure is 2 marks in the OCS. 2 to 3 marks in the OCS. This is a rough ballpark figure standard calculation which I am giving you. As we move on, I will show you how CIMA exactly marks and I will show you that the marking scheme for each question is different, but at the end of the day, if you try to meet this ballpark figure in your planning, you'll have a much clearer approach on what I should be doing. So these percentages are very important because they clearly tell you how much to write for which task, how much to present for which task. So this is the third thing to do. First thing is read the unseen. Second thing is isolate the task, understand the task, understand what the words are in the task, what they're exactly asking you. Third, understand the weightage for each task, the marks for each task, and how much you are going to write for each task. All of that is actually covered in point 4 and 5 for you. So essentially, if you do this breakdown, you very clearly know how much to write, you know how much I need to present, how much I need to write for each task. So your planning is much more clearer. The next is the reference material. Now if you see, in every question in the OCS, they will always give you reference material. The tables over here are reference material. After the question ends, they will always give you extra information. If it's a variance question, they'll give you variance material. It's an LPB question, they'll give you an LPB graph. Multi-product break-even question, they'll give you a multi-product break-even graph. So essentially, there will always be email, unseen, task, unseen, task, reference material. Or it can be email, unseen, tasks, reference material. But this pattern will always be followed in all questions. You need to be smart about knowing these 7 things. The last is command verbs. Now if you see, even in the blueprints and even in this question, a lot of the verbs are repeated. For example, explain. For example, how a ZBB approach can be applied. How, explain, identify, interpret, compare and contrast. These are verbs which you'll keep seeing repeated within your, OCS exam. Let's just quickly go back to our blueprint areas. Yes. And in the blueprint areas itself, you will see a lot of the verbs. For example, discuss, I can discuss, discuss, compare and contrast, discuss, 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 interpret, discuss, discuss, identify, identify, discuss, apply, discuss, discuss, analyze, compare and contrast. Now, a lot of you might have already overlooked this. But I am bringing these verbs to attention for you because these same verbs will be repeated in your tasks in the exam. So if you know the meaning of the verbs, identify means identify. Compare and contrast means compare and contrast. Explain means please go in depth and explain. So essentially, if you focus on the verbs in the task, they will clearly tell you what is expected of you. So these are the 7 things which we want to keep in mind so that we can have a very clear instruction and direction. When I see the question, I know first I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do this, then I have to do this. So your pattern is very clear in the planning stage. Now this is the planning part. You've not started writing yet. How to write, we are coming to that. But if your planning is solid, if your breakdown of the question is solid in the initial phase, then it becomes much better to plan for it. Now I have a page on command verbs also for you. What does discuss mean? Give a balanced view. Consider multiple angles. Identify means identify. What are the KPIs, for example? They tell you identify the relevant KPIs in this situation. So you'll have to tell them what the KPIs are. Interpret, they'll give you a variance, for example, or a chart, for example, and tell you interpret this chart, interpret this variance. They'll tell you analyze. They'll tell you apply, for example, IFRS. How is IAS 16 applied to this situation? Or how is IFRS 16 leases applied to this situation? Compare and contrast the use of traditional costing versus activity-based costing. Your tasks, like you saw, can include these verbs, or rather will include these verbs. So if you are well versed with these verbs, if you know and acknowledge the presence of these verbs, then straight away you can attack and understand what do they want from me. Now these are tips which you will not see anywhere. We give it importance because we have figured this out after years of preparation and delivering results. So this was my question understanding, but I want to a little bit help you better with planning. So okay, I'm doing these 7 things. I'm doing these 7 things, but we have developed, it's Finntutors planning framework, which we have developed and we have chosen to call it 3+3+3. So okay, you need to do those 7 things, but my suggestion is you should be spending 9 minutes to 11 minutes maximum in your planning time. Why? Because you need to do those 7 things which I mentioned. How do you divide those 7 things? My suggestion is in the first 3 minutes you read the entire question, figure out the unseen, figure out the reference material, all of that. Read the entire question once. First 3 minutes. Absorb fully, slowly. The next 3 minutes only and only isolate the task. The 4 tasks, keep reading the task 2 times, 3 times. Keep reading the task, keep reading the task. Carefully understanding the verb, carefully understanding what do they exactly want from me. Also, in these second 3 minutes, you understand what exactly or how much exactly you are going to write for each task. Task 1, 6.5 marks, roughly 3 points. Task 2, 3 points, for example. So essentially, the first 3 minutes, read the entire question. Next 3 minutes, isolate the task, understand the value of each task. And the last 3 minutes is where you start making your subheadings. Subheadings are very, very important. So what would be my subheading over here? In the last 3 minutes, I will make my subheading. I will make my skeleton. So number 1, how the ZBB approach can be applied to create a budget for kitchen equipment maintenance costs. I will make this my long subheading, and beside that I will write for my own understanding 3 points. Next, 2 benefits of using ZBB. Break it down. 2 challenges of using ZBB. Separate subheadings will help you very clearly understand the requirement. That's what we are doing in the last 3 minutes. Do that for all the tasks. So in roughly 9 minutes, 11 minutes, you can adjust the time accordingly. You will see that the entire question is understood, the reference material is understood, you've isolated the task, you've understood how much to write, your skeleton is ready. This is the Finntutors planning framework, planning approach, which you can use and practice. Now naturally, this is not going to come to you in the first question that you do. This will come with practice. This will come with perseverance. So now you have the direction. Practice this way. Try it this way. You have to do 7 things, but I have to split it as 3+3+3. First 3 minutes, read the entire question. Second, isolate the task, understand the value of each task. Third, create my skeleton. Try it out. I will guarantee you it will give you a very, very clear direction. Now, to the best part, the writing approach. Up until now, we did everything about planning. Let's do a little bit of a writing approach. So because we are looking at writing, it becomes very important. See, up until now, we planned everything. We understood what the task is. But a lot of students ask 3 points. Okay, but what is a point? Can I just write, bullet points, a couple of bullet points here, there, and then expect to get my marks? Absolutely not. This exam is about well explained applied points. From the very start, we have been speaking about application. So this exam is all about how you apply your points for SoPa, how you explain your points. Again, as a rough ballpark figure, we would say one well explained point, roughly 5 or 6 sentences, what you can aim for. Minimum 4 to 5 sentences is what you can aim for as a well explained point. Again, this is a rough ballpark figure to help you meet that requirement. Let me show you. The first task is how ZBB can be applied to create a budget. They're not asking you please define ZBB, what ZBB means, the meaning of ZBB, everything that you know about ZBB from P1 you just pick up and you dump over here. That is not what this exam is. This exam is how you systematically explain your points related to your company's situation, related to the unseen. So to help you reach those 5 to 6 sentences and for you to reach well explained points, the Finntutors approach is using point, explain, apply. This is just a again, just a method which we have come up with to help you write well explained points. Because many times what students will do is how ZBB can be used. That's what they asked me, right? So they'll directly say ZBB can be used. ZBB is a very useful method. First, we need to identify and justify maintenance activities. Second, we create decision packages. Third, we rank activities. Full stop. But this much the examiner can get from the textbook, can get from the internet, can get from AI also in today's world. The examiner is hired, or rather you have been hired as a finance officer so that you can explain things relevant to your company. So see how we explained it. They said how ZBB approach can be applied to create a budget. So I'm telling them the first thing we need to do is identify and justify all maintenance activities. So I told them that okay, ZBB requires every maintenance activity to be identified and justified from zero. That's the process of ZBB. Then I went forward and explained a little bit. So management must determine exactly what maintenance activities are required and why they are necessary. Costs are only included if they support the objectives. And then most important what students forget is they forget to apply, which means related to SoPa, related to the unseen. So for SoPa, this would mean identifying activities such as servicing ovens or refrigeration units, maintaining grills. This is from the question if you recall. Each activity would need to be justified based on its importance to keeping the new restaurant effectively open. So this is one well explained point. If you see, it's roughly 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 sentences. So the rough ballpark figure which I gave you on how I can create well explained points is further substantiated by the use of point, explain and apply. Remember, I only had to write 3 points. You don't have to write your full knowledge on ZBB over here. That is not needed. Narrow down, think, okay, ZBB, how it can be applied, but I only have to write 3 points. So what are the best 3 points which I can write, I can explain, I can apply? Because that is what is going to give you your marks and that is what is going to give you your credit. So this is the point, explain and apply system which has effectively worked for students, and that is why we are presenting it for you. So planning done, 3 plus 3 plus 3, that was my planning framework. Now explanation, also given guidance on point, explain, apply. Again, try this, practice this within our mocks. When students do mocks with us, we keep refining your planning, we keep refining your writing with mistakes, with errors, with suggested answers, with model answers. So you are learning so much through this entire process. Now CIMA says that now you know how the actual marking works. In the exam, actual marking works a little bit differently. Now CIMA marks on the base of levels. So I gave you that marking scheme, if you remember. I told you that okay, we are planning for a ballpark figure of 2 marks per point. To be more specific and to give you exactly how CIMA marks, it's levels based marking. So based on your answer, CIMA will put you into one of the 3 levels. So the examiner will read your answer and decide if you fall in level 1, level 2, level 3. Now I want to show you how the Finntutors planning approach and the marking and the writing approach, PEA, so 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus PEA, both if you use, you can consistently reach level 3. So how our approach helps you reach level 3, I'm just going to show you that a little bit. So let's say the task was benefits and drawbacks of using a rolling budget for SoPa. For example, this is a task. For example, now a lot of students would write, okay, the first benefit is that they are more up to date. Drawback is they take more time to prepare. If you write this, then this is very generic. It could apply to any business. This is very generic. Why do I want a finance officer for this? So this sits in level 1. It's not wrong, but it's vague and it's underdeveloped. If you think about PEA, this is simply the P, which is a point. There is no explanation, there is no application for SoPa, nothing exists. So these points could have been written about any company, any industry, why it matters, what it matters, why it's relevant to SoPa. There is no mention at all. So you've only done the P over here, which means you noted down the point. Level 1, you will get very limited marks for this. Let's say if you go to level 2, what does level 2 mean? You have a reasonable understanding, you have pretty much explained it, but you don't apply it to SoPa. So you do the P, you do the E, but then you don't apply it to SoPa's perspective. For example, you wrote that the benefit of rolling budgets is that they are continuously updated, which means they will reflect the most recent information. This makes them more useful for planning. I'm going ahead. This makes them more useful for planning than a fixed annual budget that may quickly become outdated. Then you did the same for the drawback. But nowhere did you relate it to the situation, what it means for SoPa, what it means for my company. Nowhere you did that. So the points are now explained and the reasoning is clear. But the shortfall is this textbook. This has nothing to do with case study application. That's level 2. Level 3 takes your answer to the next level, and if you do the PEA method that we said for every point, automatically you're moving to level 3. Automatically you'll reach level 3. For example, a benefit of rolling budgets for SoPa is that they would allow the finance team to update forecasts regularly to reflect the seasonal fluctuations in customer covers that the business experiences across its 9 restaurants. So the point is written, but within the point it's very clearly intertwined to SoPa's business. SoPa's current annual budget is set once and may quickly become outdated. Customer numbers shift. A rolling budget would give management a more realistic and current picture. You're seeing it's the same point. It's the same explanation. But the application is very, very, very clear. Everything is SoPa specific. That is why we first spent time knowing our company in the pre-scene summary. That is why we first spent time knowing our company's details within the pre-scene summary. So that's the pre-scene, knowledge which helps you write better. So your technical knowledge helps you revise rolling budgets. Your pre-scene knowledge helps you know about your company, and then this writing practice, reaching level 3, thinking PEA, helps you write points which are going to give you solid marks. So the takeaway is that you are not collecting individual correct points. You are building an answer which is relevant for your company, your company's situation, your company's particular problem. To show you what a marking scheme looks like, I've just put it on screen. This is what the actual marking scheme looks like for, in a CIMA exam. And this marking scheme is created for every single task, every single question. It's based on the question, based on the task. Now we don't have the questions which are going to come up in the exam, so we can't have a very clear marking scheme. It depends question to question. That is why we created the ballpark figure for you, that okay, one well explained point, 2 to 3 marks, 5 to 6 sentences, so that you can try to reach that benchmark even without any of these technicalities. Going back to the sample question, it was the task was explain how ZBB could be applied. Now you'll fall in level 1 if you describe ZBB in general terms. There is no reference to SoPa, nothing about SoPa. I'll give you if you write 3 points, I'll give you somewhere between 1 to 3 depending on how good the points are. Same way, it becomes level 2 if you go on and explain a little bit. Somewhere, somehow you made it relevant to the information in the question. You spoke about grills, ovens in the question which has been given. Partial application, I'll put you in level 2. So your points then jump a little bit between 4 and 5. But if each point is well explained, well related to SoPa and SoPa's business, then I will give you solid credit. That's where you will get your full marks and your full credit. So that was the marking scheme for one particular task which we create, and that's how we mark our students within our course. But this was a very simple levels based understanding which I wanted to give to you, because based on this you now know that if I want to reach level 3 good marks, I will have to use the 3 plus 3 plus 3 to first plan, or rather first I will have to revise blueprint areas. Second, I will have to know my company well. After that, I will have to, when I look at the question, I will use the 3 plus 3 plus 3 well, remembering those 7 things which I have to get done. And then I will make sure that each point that I write has to be PEA, level 3, level 3, level 3, application, explanation, point. Very clearly, if you know this, then this exam becomes very, very straightforward. Because all of this is leading. Now, if you see all of the points which I covered within this interactive guide for you, cover areas which students don't pay attention on, and that is why they end up losing marks and losing credit. So most students who fail know enough content to pass, but they keep making errors on writing generically. So your answers are falling between level 1, level 2. You're not getting good marks. You know the content, but you're not getting good marks. You ignore the verb. If they're asking you to identify, you need to identify. You don't need to do anything else. You misallocate the time across sub-tasks. So essentially, if you don't understand how important is each task, what is the value of each task, how much to write for each task, the 3 plus 3 plus 3, you are not planning well, you are not understanding how much to write for each task, and then you make points without following the PEA. All of these common mistakes which students make. If you've taken the exam before, you will see that you didn't do well because either you didn't plan well, you didn't write well, both of which we have solved for you through this interactive guide. And imagine if you are on one of our courses where step by step by step we further go into depth, further help you understand and prep for this exam, then on exam day your potential is maximized. So these are common mistakes which students make, which I want you to completely eradicate. And that is why this interactive guide has been created for you. To just look at it as a glance, what we have done so far, if you just see how much you achieved through this interactive guide, you will see that, okay, we spoke about what the exam is, we spoke about the blueprints, how we should do our revision, we spoke about our company's overview, I gave you the overview about SoPa, we then spoke about what a mock question looks like, how to break down a mock question, how to write good answers, what the marking is for CIMA. All of that we covered within this interactive guide for you. The best possible resource now is on your screen, which is practice questions. We do 25 questions. I am giving you a part of those questions for your practice, this kind of, non-paywalled material. This is not paywalled. The entire interactive guide has been presented and created for you free so that you can use it, benefit from it, and pass this exam. So if you have found this video helpful up until now, you found the material helpful up until now, you can, simply give us a shout out on Facebook or LinkedIn. That will help us, that will motivate us to keep going in this direction, helping all CIMA students. And everybody who's working with us will be more inspired to, serve and create the best possible material for you. It also helps us in the right direction. So if you found it helpful, you can, on a WhatsApp group, Facebook group, on LinkedIn, just shout out and mention Finntutors. It will definitely, bring this useful material to others as well, so even they can use it. So coming back, these are 7 scenarios, 7 questions, part of our 25 mock questions that we do in our course. Each question that you do with us comes with a suggested answer, a model answer, corrections telling you what is right, wrong in your answer, what we need to focus on. All of that part of our course. But over here, we have given you questions exactly like the exam. If you see, there are 7 questions on your screen. Now, in these 7 questions, we cover all, or rather major important topics for you. These are not the only important topics, but a lot more important areas are covered in our entire tranche of 25 questions. And when you do those 25 questions, I can guarantee you will have a better, I will say, a positive approach in the exam. When you enter the exam, you will be confident because we have covered all bases for you. This is just the start. So the first question we have on activity-based costing and rolling budgets. The second question we have is on digital costing, working capital. Third question we have is on the new syllabus areas, weighted benefit scoring, sustainability KPIs. Then we have leases, what if analysis. Then we have tax depreciation allowance, equipment options, your IAS rules. Then we have variances, Gen AI. Then we have, zero-based budgeting. Again, we have a payoff table. So essentially, so many important topics I am testing you on. Even if you look at the past papers, you'll see that these topics have been coming up in the exam, and they have a very good chance of coming up in the August exam as well. So when you've gone through this interactive guide, when you've gone through these questions as part of the interactive guide, and you've actually practiced on them, if you want to take it one step forward, if you're on one of our study courses, you've written these questions, we have marked them for you, then you are no chance that you're not ready for the exam. So let me just tell you how innovative this is and how you can use it for your prep. So okay, we have the question here. The same way I discussed the earlier question with you, you now have the chance to practice your planning, your writing. So okay, 3 plus 3 plus 3, you read the question, you read the reference material, 3 plus 3 plus 3. And then there is a task, task A, task B. One option that you have is, you can read as per the task here, task A, task B. One option you have is, you can read our model answers. Very clearly it says 52%. So for your planning, okay, this is my, this is 52% of my marks. So this is roughly 12 marks, roughly 6 points is what I'm planning for. First option is you can read through our model answer. You can see how we have presented the answer in a systematic way, how we are trying to reach level 3 for every point that we write. So okay, you read through it. You read through task 2 also. For example, task 2 is 48% of your marks. Again, you read through task 2. That's your question number 1 completed. Question number 2, you're feeling a little ambitious. Okay, I know my company, I know the method now, I want to actually practice it. You move up and you'll see practice mode on. So switch on your practice mode and now you have the chance to automatically time yourself. So time yourself, set a timer of 45 minutes. Again, 3 plus 3 plus 3. Read the entire question. Figure out, what the task is, how many marks is it. Figure out all of that. And then we have given you the option to actually type it out. So type out your answer for task A. Practice it. And after typing it out, you have the model answer which you can compare to. Do the same for task B. Type it out. You have the model answer which you can compare to. Same for task C. Type it out. Practice it. You have the model answer which you can compare to. So we are giving you the opportunity to practice. When you do our mocks, they are automatically timed. They're automatically, 45 minutes timed for each question and automatically submitted to us for marking. So essentially over here, we are giving you the opportunity to practice also. That's the benefit of this interactive guide. And we've given you 7 questions to practice, exactly like the exam, the difficulty of the exam, the pattern of the exam, the structure of the exam, the system of the exam. You can use it, study it at your own pace, and this is going to be a complete game changer. If you're studying with us, then I will take care of all of your studies and I will introduce all of the aspects for you one by one in our course. If you're self-studying as well, this interactive guide is a great resource for you to practice important areas and sections of this exam. And we have given you all of the tools. You just got to use it. And this is, you will, this kind of material made available without a paywall, free, is something which, will definitely help you push your preparation, to confidence, to confidently taking this exam. So that's our practice questions, one of a kind. And you made it this far. We have even more, a free mini course available for you with hand-picked resources, with a lot of other important videos on important concepts, helping you revise those concepts. We have a free mini mock as well, which is marked. That's on our free mini course. If you found this interactive guide helpful, the free mini course also you will find helpful. We are here to help you. So click on start the mini course and you can get started on the mini course as well. But if you have found our material helpful so far, you're definitely ready to go all in. And once you go all in, which means you choose one of my study packs, may it be the on-demand course, may it be the full course, or may it be the one-on-one coaching pack, whichever works best for you. Once you choose it, we take care of your study one by one by one. Then you don't have to follow anything else. You shut out all the noise. You just focus on our course. You just focus on our material, and we will take it from there. If you go for the on-demand course, that's our class recordings. You cover at this, and these class recordings are nothing but mock discussions, tips and tricks, how to approach, how to look at a question, all of those discussions, 30-45 minutes each. Plus you get 15 timed mock questions. Each question, we split it set wise, starting with 1 question, make mistakes, learn, corrections. Then 2 questions, slowly to 4 questions, exactly like the exam. Our blueprint linked study notes, our E1, P1 and F1 linked study notes, plus our direct tutor access, WhatsApp group access, everything comes included. And with all of our courses, you have a pass guarantee attached, which means we are confident. If you complete the course, if you complete our assignments and then you sit the exam, and then for any reason you don't pass it, we give free access to the next attempt. Again, if we are confident you go into the exam with the course done, you yourself will see the difference in your preparation. The full course takes it one step forward. That's 25 mock questions now, our full tranche of 25 mock questions. Plus, twice a week, live lessons. Tuesday and Thursday, 6 p.m. UK time. Everything else remains the same. The game changer also over here is our OCS revision course. So E1, P1 and F1 videos of important concepts available for you, so you can quickly revise. So that's the full course. And the one-on-one coaching is completely personalized. It's one-on-one lessons with me. Everything else remains the same. It just becomes completely personalized to your own pace. So if you have found this material helpful, you can just click on see the OCS course. It will take you to my OCS page, and you can then be ready to, pass this exam. Let's just put it that way. Also, we have a free WhatsApp community. You can join the WhatsApp community. You can share about the WhatsApp community. Anybody can join that. We have a separate WhatsApp community, and then we have a separate group for students that are studying with us. Once you sign up to one of our courses, you get access to our group. The WhatsApp community is free for everybody. You can sign up, you can join it, and then over there also we post a lot of informative tips. Everything that we have presented till now, you will see, is full of information, is full of support, is full of material, because our goal is one, to genuinely help you pass this exam. That's the interactive guide. Hope you found it helpful. Hope you now know everything about this exam and you are now ready to take your preparation to the next level through the interactive guide. Thank you.